Hi, everyone. Sorry about that echo. So I just want to welcome you today to our Zine-Making workshop with William Camargo. Hi, everyone. William, I'm going to let you take over because I don't know what's happening over here.
Well, hey everyone, I'm William Camargo. I'm a artist, I'm a organizer, advocate, and a community archivist as well. So archivist means just collecting documents. I particularly just focus on family photographs in Anaheim and so on. I think, do I have sharing capability by any chance? Okay, no worries. So I just want to, mention if y'all can put on the chat, where are you streaming from? Do you go to school in Anaheim? Museo is an Anaheim-based museum where I'm currently showing a exhibition. Of course, from the outside, so you're able to see it from, from the street on Anaheim Boulevard, from is it Broadway or Lincoln? I'm trying to remember. So it's very accessible, right? So I think especially with COVID, we've been trying to do something differently with the museums and making sure that especially students still are able to see it and see themselves in a museum. I was born and raised in Anaheim, and I have been going across the country, but I'm back now for a really long time now, hopefully. And I'm excited to teach you how to make a mini zine based on some everyday things that I think students are definitely going through, and we're gonna try to expand the mind also and see what we can create. And then I'll start with just the kind of materials list that we have. I also wanted to make this easy and have folks be able to just grab stuff from their home. So I'm going to show you the materials, and then we could go on from there. And then I'll give you maybe like 2-3 minutes for if there's some other stuff that you want to grab. Feel free to grab that as well. If some of y'all got the kit from Museo, just a regular kind of computer paper. It could be drawing paper. It can be nicer paper as well, drawing paper, watercolor paper, and then any kind of writing material. I have these kind of, just kind of colored markers that I use. You can use crayons, you can use the bigger Crayola markers as well. Chalk, you can use magazines. You can just use pencil or pen as well. And that is, you can just create with what you got, right? So I think a lot of my work is, that I do make is, if you haven't checked out the exhibition, you can check it out on Instagram as well, on Museo. I think it's at Museo. That's the Instagram handle. And it's physically still up until the 31st. So you're able to go see it, and kind of, even if you want to go back, and I'll give you the tools to show you how to create a zine. You can make other ones based off that. A pair of scissors, you don't need them. You can also cut with your hands. What else do I have? I also have tape. And that's pretty much it. I do have some sticky notes, but you can feel free and have pretty much whatever you want. That you can make marks, you can draw, you can cross out, and that should be all of it. So I'll wait for maybe like a minute or two and make sure everyone has their stuff ready. I'll also just speak a little bit of my work that's at Museo. This work I've been making for quite a while now, and I'm a living artist, or I make a lot of my living making art and, teaching as well, and showing my work in other museums at universities. Uh, I also do a lot of work in the Anaheim School District, both the elementary and the high school district. Before the pandemic, I was going to the schools and talking about my work and making, collaborating with the students about their artwork as well. That revolves, and I'm very much inspired about the city and its history. Sometimes, the history that you do learn from school sometimes doesn't include history of Anaheim. So that's usually what I focus on. This history I did kind of uncover myself through books, through visiting some of the, one of the places was the Heritage Center that I did visit quite a bit before the pandemic. And yeah, if you want to, just kind of ask questions, feel free to put it on the Q&A, and I can, I can start, answering some questions as well. Cool. So I'll start with again, also I'll just, do some steps, then we'll take, a couple minutes for folks to do it, and then we can kind of move on from there. So the first thing that I do want to show you is, so we're going to just grab this paper, right? I'm going to clear a little bit of my desk. And then we're just going to fold in half. So grab that. I'm going to move my computer out of the way. So do this. Then we're going to fold it once more, half. So I'll also go slow and just kind of repeat the steps. So right when you open it up, you'll have 4 sheets. You'll have, 4 strips of that, like a brochure. See this? Then once we got that, we'll do like hot dog style. We'll fold it in half again, hot dog style. So we have this. Four. Then once we have this, we'll cut it, we'll do this and make sure. And then I'm gonna draw a line just to show you, sometimes it's a little hard to see. But you don't have to do this, right? I'm just marking this so you can see, we're gonna make a cut. So make sure it's on the side that you're folding, right? Grab your scissors and you're gonna cut into this line, which is another line that's marked by a fold. So you're gonna have like a flap, right? So I'll let you do that. Because this other part is a little complicated, but I think everyone should be able to do it. So we're gonna open up. We're gonna fold again, hot dog style. And try to do this, just If you're able to do this, then you're on the right track. So I want you to do this. I'll give you a minute for, I'll do it again, right? We took that. And then afterwards, it's pretty easy to fold, right? You want to, and it doesn't have to be perfect, right? It's gonna, and I think we did include a couple extra papers just in case. There's some mistakes in there. And guess what you have? You have a little mini book, which is called a mini zine. Which is the cover. And now you don't have to write this, but I'll write this so you can just see the cover. Page 1. Page 2. So I'm just marking this so you can see how we did it. So the cover is there. Page 1. Page 2. 3, 4. 5, and 6. And then the back cover as well. So if you want to put down on the questions, if you want to, and I open it up, and there are the markings there from the pages. So again, you open it up after the cut. So in order to do the cut, there it is. You open it up after the cut. You fold it hot dog style again. And I call this hamburger style, but I think it's probably like a bigger hot dog. But so hot dog style, and then you kind of do this to test it out, and it kind of just naturally goes into this book form. Right. The thing about zines, these mini zines, they're super easy to make. After the first try, you can easily make 10 in a quick 5 minutes. And you can kind of create your own book, comic. So it's pretty easy to make. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put them here. If you want me to go over one step, I can go again and kind of show you. If you did make a mistake, don't worry about it. We do have extra paper. Feel free to grab extra paper if you don't have any. Usually I like to get that from my computer paper. I always have some extra ones around. You can also use construction paper. It could be colored. It doesn't have to be white. Also, if folks don't know, like I mentioned, I am from Anaheim, California. I went to Horseman Elementary, which is by that Norgate on La Palma. Then I went to Sycamore Junior High, and then finally to Anaheim High School. So feel free to let me know if you have finished your folds. If you're still working on it, we can continue and work on this section. Cool, awesome. Thank you, Kaden. Remember, mistakes are fine. We can always, good thing about this, we have repeats. We can repeat. So for this next step, you want to grab whatever you have to write something, right? You have, this is a good time to also, uh, for students, you want to practice their vocabulary. They want to try out some new words. Um, so I have these markers and I have a pen. If you have crayons, go for it. If you have the bigger Crayola markers, those are awesome as well. You can also mix them up, right? You don't have to use these, um, just one of these writing tools that we do have. So for this next step, we are going to think about many things, right? We're going to think about, we're going to use page 1 and 2. And what I want you to cover is I want you to cover these 2 pages with words, with descriptions of sounds, even maybe just writing out the sound, like, for instance, if I hear my nephew sleeping, instead of maybe putting sleeping, I'm going to write, just repeat that letter Z, right? That kind of stands for someone sleeping. And I'm going to give you around 5 to 10 minutes. You can also try different fonts. It doesn't have to be just one regular font or one regular writing. You can make bubble letters to make a word. I want you to fill these 2 pages, right? They're pretty small as well, with words that so think about your everyday, right? You're maybe going to school on your computer, right? That's something that you encounter often. Maybe during a break from one of your classes, you go outside and hang out in your backyard or your front yard or in your apartment complex. And whatever you see, whatever you hear, I want you to at least give me at least 10 to 15 words on these 2 pages. For instance, like I mentioned, like sometimes I hear my nephew sleeping or crying. Maybe I put crying. Right, that's one word. Something else, also think about what you see, right? If there's some stairs, maybe you don't want to write the whole thing. You can also just kind of draw stairs. I grew up on a second floor, so every time I was going to school, I always have to climb some stairs. So here's one. Right, it can be a mixture of drawings, words, bubble letters. Right, for, like I said, I would hear my nephew sleep. I'm gonna fill these. Right, so this is my attempt at making Z's. Sounds good, Brenda. Definitely, I think we're gonna have this recorded so folks are able to see it afterwards as well. So I'm gonna give us into maybe 6:28 for folks to at least fill up these whole 2 pages. And I'll work on it as well. Right, I'm sure some of y'all are tired of being on the computer, and I'm always on a thing called Zoom, so I'm gonna write that. There's Zoom. So I'll give us a couple minutes for that. So I want at least 10 to 15 words. If you think of more, that is perfectly fine too. The more, the merrier, as they say. Feel free to do as many words as you can. And think about synonyms too, like, what's a synonym for crying? Maybe tears is one. Maybe you can also draw tears. Do that. Do around 3 more minutes. So as I mentioned, my work is up at Museo, and I am mostly a photo-based artist. That means I use the camera a lot. And I use many cameras too, not just one. One choice I can do is either write the word camera or actually also draw it. I'm not a great drawer, as you can tell, but I'm sure some of you have better drawing skills than me. So think about what you do your whole day. Go through your routine now. I'm thinking about my routine. I come to where I do my work, and I do have a lot of books here as well. So one thing that I do encounter a lot is my books. And I hope that you also are, keep in mind that you can draw, you can find synonyms for words, you can do bubble letters instead if you're, right? So I want it to kind of look a little bit like this. I want you to fill these 2 pages. Right, maybe the first thing that you do see is the sun, or maybe your shades. So we'll do 1 more minute. Again, I get this. The cover is something that I leave towards the end. Just if you want to think about that, think about what it can be kind of any kind of cover as well. It doesn't have to be relating to the questions I'm asking. So now that we have, if everyone's gotten those words down, make sure you fill up the pages. Um, Now we can move on to the middle part, which is, I think, a very important part. And the question I'll ask, I'll also put it down in the chat, and I'll write it down on my zine, is who and what makes the heart of your community? So again, I'll repeat that. It's who and what makes the heart of your community. So think about currently and maybe also before COVID. Community is a pretty broad word. For me, community means it can be a specific neighborhood. Your community can also be specific people. It can be your family. So I'm going to write that down on the chat, in the Q&A, for everyone to see. Who and so using this prompt, using this question, I want at least 5 or 6 drawings that depict what makes your community. One thing I do think about growing up in Anaheim is that a lot what of my experiences when I was growing up is even simple as going to the local supermarket, which was for me, what the closest one was Northgate. If many of you are probably familiar with Northgate Market or any other store, Northgate Market was started in Anaheim, and it was a family that migrated here from Mexico that started Northgate, right? So I think for me, community is part of even just going to Northgate. And I remember I was excited of going to Northgate because I would always see sometimes my friends that I would go to school with. Sometimes my mom would run into her friends. Sometimes I would try to sneak in some hot Cheetos while my mom was talking to her friend. So hopefully, towards the end of the day, I would get some hot Cheetos. So you can also create symbols. Like symbols are, I would say, a substitute for a thing that you're going to be drawing. So instead of maybe putting two hands together is a symbol of unity. Maybe a symbol can be also just like Norgate instead. It can just be a building or also can be like a cart, like a grocery cart that can symbolize that part of your community. So I want you also to, when you're drawing your what makes your community and what makes the heart of community. So I'll draw 2 of them so I can give you an example. Another thing too that I think is centered around what my community is also when I think about what other people think about Anaheim and Orange County and in California as well, right? For me, it's maybe oranges because it is named after the orange groves that maybe some of y'all have seen around. And I'm not like I mentioned, I'm not a good drawer, but I think this is a good exercise just to get your mind going, thinking about what is important to you uh, and to the areas that you are surrounded by. Um, so this is, right, these are oranges. This is Norgate. Part of the community can also be a person, right? Maybe your favorite teacher. That is also can be part of your community. Maybe not the principal if you're getting in trouble. A place can be part of that as well. Like, for instance, for me, maybe the playground at my old school at Horace Mann. Um, a park that was nearby was Manzanita Park. I remember going there a lot growing up with my cousins, with my friends. Um, and I used to also just skate around and bike around that area. So, that is also still part of my community. And I still go in and maybe do a walk, especially now, like, right, we should still be going out and getting some fresh air. Um, that's all part of your community. Um, your classmates as well are part of your community. Um, a street that you always are around. Like for me, La Palma was a huge part of my community because it included La Palma Park, where I used to play soccer and practice. It also included the stadium there, which sometimes I used to play or used to go see football games for my friends. La Palma also included where Norgate is at, so it's all kind of connecting. And furthermore, I have a friend that lives right off like around La Palma in Euclid by the Kaiser. So those are all things that can be part of this community. So it can be just a whole street. So that for me, another one that I can draw. It's just La Palma Avenue. So see there, easily I have 3 now, right? So I want at least 5 or 6. If you want to make more too, that is perfectly fine. Thinking about, right, soccer was a huge thing in my communities where I made a lot of my friends as well. So that's a soccer ball, not a great soccer ball, but I think you're able to see. It could be also baseball, it can be any sport. Another big part was also the Boys and Girls Club. I used to go there a lot, and then I volunteered afterwards as well. So I'll give it like another minute or two. So right, we're covering now page 1, 2. And again, we're going to be using the whole 2 pages, right? 3 and 4. Right, we came from, right, it's as simple as a 1 page, and it looks pretty cool once we open it up. Right. Again, we're waiting on the cover and the back cover. That's something that I usually will leave up to you and kind of do a quick free drawing or whatever you want on that. So hopefully for this next step, we're going to stay on these 2 pages. because now we're going to think about connections. We're going to think about how these things connect to each other, and that is also part of that community, right? And I'm thinking of like sometimes, right? I used to go to soccer practice, and then my dad will pick me up, and then we had to go and pick up some food at Norgate, which again, all part of that same community, and it was also part of La Palma, the street where I mostly grew up on as well. Um, so what I would suggest is to make those connections. Think about just what I said, right? Thinking about maybe my soccer practice, and you want to kind of outline this. Maybe it was to Dorgate and then to La Palma, and think about all these connections that you can make. And I want you to maybe give yourself a little challenge and try to do these connections every time with a different marker or a different color or a different tool. Um, and they can also just be random, right? But I also want to see these kind of connections. And then in fact, this kind of middle will be turned into this, you know, these things of your community always connecting with each other. And I think it gives a cool kind of abstract drawing painting in the middle. You can make the lines thick or thin. And I'll show you an example of something that can be thin or thick. Again, I'm not a professional drawer, but I think these always get my mind kind of like going and thinking about some of my other projects that I've been making. So I hear the thicker lines, right? I want you to kind of explore and think about these connections, and maybe this indicates something stronger than the thinner lines. Maybe it's the opposite. But I want you to kind of use different colors or different shapes for those lines. You can. So one thing I'm connecting is La Palma with Norgate, and then with the oranges, and then back to Norgate, and then to my soccer ball that I have here, which then creates these kind of cool abstract drawing in the middle, right? And again, I want to repeat the question in the prompt for making these drawings is who and what makes the heart of your community? And I asked that question because a lot of my work centers that, and it centers the history of my community, where I grew up in Anaheim. Anaheim does have a lot of history, and I think that is also something that's part of my community. The history of my community is part of that. So I'll give you another 2 minutes on that. If you want to add more things that come to your mind of your community, I also want you to add that as well. We do have a small space, but I think you can also just fit things around. And this is, these are only 4 things that I drew. So it'd be cool to just see everything kind of come together like that. Again, don't feel if you need to do this super perfect. This can be just a kind of test for something that you want to do later on. This is something, right? If I messed up, I can easily make another one. We do like 1 more minute. Feel free to be also, if you want to be more, if you're really into drawing, um, feel free to add more stuff to this. This kind of building is just a quick sketch. Um, and if you're not really into drawing, but kind of make these symbols as sophisticated or simple as you want them. This is not a test of how good you are at drawing or how good you are with vocabulary. It's just something to think about when you are kind of just living on your everyday life, going through Zoom and thinking about maybe being more kind of aware of, oh, maybe I think about, I encountered a hummingbird yesterday that was really cool, that you probably didn't think about was a huge deal, and now you're thinking about it again. Um, maybe that building that you cross when you used to walk to school was something that you probably just didn't really care about, but now it's part of that community, part of your community. So now we'll move. Everyone's ready. I think we can move on to the next step, which is one of the last steps, right? Of course, like I mentioned, this is something that you can also, do if you're thinking of doing some projects for schools. Maybe this is a way to present your work, right? Instead of, the regular kind of like PowerPoint or etc. So we're gonna do another 30 seconds for Caden. Remember, be as you could do as much more or a little less than this, but also again wanting to challenge you to, think about using these other tools, right? Right. So you have tape too. This is a thinner tape. I can also make these connections with tape. I use this for some of my artwork, and I bought different kinds of tapes. And again, you can also think about, well, if you do it again, it's including other types of materials that you can easily glue on here, tape on here. So it kind of, right, it transforms it. Awesome. So these next two pages, it's gonna be 5 and 6. And this is something that I'm gonna connect to my work. If you haven't seen it, it's okay. It's I'll explain the work that is at Museo, which is an image of myself. So I take a picture and I'm holding a sign that states some type of history that is in Anaheim. I'm thinking there's a picture of me in front of the packing house, and I put brown woman used to pack oranges here. Or think about maybe if you were aware of maybe a lot of the protests that were going on. these kind of chants of unity. I want you to kind of create a chant that maybe can help a classmate. It can help your teacher. A lot of us are been spending a lot of time on the computer, on Zoom, and it gets a little bit draining, right? And I want you to think that, maybe I think, I'm not sure if school's over for some of you, but this is a message that you can kind of convey to your teacher of appreciation. Maybe if you're seeing family over Zoom, that you can hold up and let them know that you're happy to see them, or encourage them to that they're doing a great job. I know a lot of teachers, um, some teachers wouldn't really know computers a lot or Zoom, so they're really trying hard to be there for students, and kind of it's always great to cheer them on. Also maybe if a classmate is having some trouble with school, I think this can be a great way to send them a positive message. Um, so think about, and this is, again, use something that you haven't used, or a combination of both. I'm going to be using maybe these tapes along with some markers to write unity on these two last pages. So think about, just kind of brainstorm what it can be. It doesn't have to be one word. It can be kind of, you can expand it and you can make a phrase. So again, I want you to think about something that can kind of cheer someone up. If you feel passionate about something, maybe it's saving our planet. So do a combination of the tape. So again, we'll take about 10 to 15 minutes to do this. I'm going to show you an example of mine really quickly. Something, the U and the N. And this is something, again, like I mentioned, like if you want to send a message to your teacher towards the end of this year. So the tape part is going to be just one part of my kind of last message. Right, so you said unity, but I also want to decorate around it because I still have some space to do that. Maybe I want to create some kind of, images in between the letters. And even just kind of trace them can be cool. right? It's the beginning of, I could keep building on to this. Maybe you want to do a letter with marker and then one with pen, one with pencil, or one word with pencil, one word with marker, one word with crayons. So I'm going to keep going. Right, like I mentioned, I'm not a great drawer, but I could draw patterns. Because the tape is green, I can draw on it. Right. You can be as simple as you want, or you can be as detail oriented as you want it to as well. I'm gonna keep going and see what I can come up with. Again, you can also do this same procedure like I taught you how to fold a zine. You can do it with bigger paper. As long as it's rectangle, you're able to fold it the way I did, hot dog style, hamburger style, and with maybe the 11 by 17 paper, which is a little bit, it's probably like twice as big as this. You can create a bigger kind of book, right? So like I'm still continuing to kind of just make some design around it. And again, the last thing I would, right, we'll keep doing this until around 7 p.m. And the last thing I'll let you decide to do is kind of make your own cover and your back cover. It can be as simple as a zine. It can you can come up with a title as well. Or even want to kind of even just focus on the cover for 20, 30 minutes and make a really great drawing. That's up to you. The thing about this workshop, I wanted to ask you questions about kind of your everyday life, thinking about what is important to you, a positive message for someone that you can show, right? You can kind of, if you're thinking about one of your last days of school and you want to say thank you to your teacher, you can kind of just fill in this whole, pretty closely to the camera so you can fill the whole screen. I've seen a lot of that of my classmates, of some, some of my friends. Really be thankful to their teachers, especially during this time, because, right, thinking about going to school online on a computer is really exhausting. And I think we have to also be thankful for everyone, your classmates that showed up, you that showed up. And I think it's really great to kind of see that, and hopefully, we're wishing for a better next year. So I'll wait until 7. Then if folks have questions, they can kind of put them in the chat. And then now you kind of know how to fold a zine. It's pretty easy, and I think you can also just kind of continue to explore. If you do like art and you like art making, you can create your own stories. You can create your own comic book. You can create your own book. You can create a how-to guide for something that you do know how to do. A lot of these zines in history have been made to kind of give information out. Before the internet, we would have to tell folks how to do things, how to teach them, and it was making these kind of little books that were easy to be. You can expand it, and you can scan it. You can make copies of it, and you can pass them out to your friends, or you can actually also mail them out to your friends, right? Or you can mail it out to grandma, aunt, your friend. So we'll wrap it up around 7, right? So yeah, if you're, this is something that you want to do on your own time, but I think it definitely deserves a lot of attention as well. Like I mentioned, we wanted to kind of focus on the inside, of the, of the zine. So again, right, this is the kind of fillers of the zine. You can also, if one of your projects is to show your class how to do something, this is something that you can also do. Right. Again, it's around 8 pages, right? The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus the cover and the back. Cool. Right. If you're not finished too, feel free afterwards to just continue and add more stuff. One cool thing that I do also use is magazines, old magazines, to rip them up and make collages around it too. That's just one thing that you can additionally do for your cover or your ending. But that is the end, and I think thanks for everyone for coming and checking it out.
Thanks everyone for hanging out with us tonight, and we hope you had fun and learned a lot. Thank you so much, William. Again, if you haven't had a chance to check out the exhibition, you can scoot by anytime. It's visible from the outside of the building and also on our Instagram at Museo. If you have any questions, you all have my email address from your registration. So go ahead and shoot me an email, or you can reach out to us on Instagram or any other way that's accessible for you. And I can put you in touch with William and we can answer all your questions. So thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and one more week until winter break. Can't wait, I know, for all of us. So thanks. Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.